Hi, I'm Erno of ErnoHoney.com. I'm a mentor, author, and speaker on attracting clients, and today I'm talking with Deirdre Breakenridge. And I have this book. I read, of course, this book of her, Brian Solis and Deirdre, and it's a great book about public relations, putting the public back in public relations. And hi, Deirdre, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you doing?
Good. Um, Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you're from, and where are you now, and what does you do?
Okay, well, I live in the United States, in New Jersey, and just a little bit about me. I've been in public relations and marketing for, I guess, about 23 years now. So it's a pretty long time.
Yeah.
Seen many, many changes. I am very passionate about my industry, so much so that I love teaching students at university. I live, breathe, eat, sleep public relations and social media, writing books. My fifth one is coming out, Social Media and PR,
Right.
New Practices for the PR Professional. And I'm also, a mom. Four teenagers at home. They certainly keep me busy, and they're my best focus panel for social media. So I learn a lot about technology.
And also about the relationship between being an entrepreneur and having a family, right?
Oh, yes, that work-life balance is really important.
Yeah. um, your book, also this one that I just shown you, is about public relations, but I'm not into PR. Actually, maybe everybody's in PR, but I think it's a very good book, and I expect that the same thing happens. It's true for your new book. It's for the PR professional, but I think it's also for anybody who's interested in communication and social media, right?
Yeah, definitely. Even though it has PR in the title, it's about communication. And when it comes to communication today, we all have to work together. In an organization, breaking down the silos.
Right. And I just saw a post of you where you talked about, actually somebody else talked about, you wrote about it, about the ROI of public relations. How do you see that?
That's interesting because there's always been a challenge in public relations when it comes to return on investment. And we all know that when we speak to executives, they see ROI connected to financial buckets. And those buckets are leads, sales, how much money has the communication saved me? Have we used the communication to recruit the best talent and cut down on recruiting cycles? So there really is. It's the money portion. So when it comes to PR, we are responsible to show how what we do tracks back to those higher level goals. It's not always just what we do. It's in combination, mix. That could include marketing, advertising. So we have to come out of our silo and use our analytics and different analytics really to track back to higher level goals.
Mm-hmm. But how do you explain to a new client, a potential client, about how they earn back the PR? How do you do this?
Well, most people know PR in terms of image and reputation. Certainly, you are protecting the brand image. And when you raise that awareness, the public confidence and the goodwill, it relates to, how the public sees your company overall and the stock price. So there is that brand equity. It's also times of crisis, using communication to avert the crisis and save money. So there are some very tangible things that we do in public relations that we need to make sure that we're proving through all of our communications efforts.
I understand, but I also see, because I talked yesterday with somebody who is a professional writer, and she wrote a lot of white papers for the technical industry. And what she sees that the value of her work is being devaluated by the success of social media, because everybody's a writer now. Everybody can publish, and so the value of professional writing, and I think also PR is a lot about professional writing, is devaluated. How do you see that?
Well, it's interesting because, all of a sudden everybody has a voice.
Right.
However, it is, in a sense, about influence, too. And you tend to, we are peer-to-peer and you are going to be trusting certain folks over others, there are writers that we know we rely on for depth and for credibility and for newsworthiness. There are times when we're looking at things that maybe are a shorter blurb on something that might not have 3 sources that are backed. We have to keep in our minds, who are the folks who are producing the information? What is their intent about it? Public relations and journalists have always been sort of followed that newsworthy, credible path. I'm not saying that PR people are journalists and vice versa, although PR professionals are thinking more like journalists as a result of blogging and social media. So I really think it has to do with influence and knowing the source and also looking into that credibility a bit more. I don't think we just believe anything that anyone writes. I have to make sure that it is a valuable, reliable source to me, whether it's a blogger or it's a journalist.
Right, but don't you do you also see that some of the companies that they see now blogging as a tool that they can do their own PR and don't need any PR professional anymore?
Well, yes, there is this brand journalism where companies become media as well. However, leaving the public relations professional out would be a disservice because that's, a practice that helps to open doors, that builds relationships. PR is very skilled in reputation management. We are now so proactive that we're looking to avert the crisis. We're the ones listening, helping to respond, and helping marketing and advertising and the brand people in what they're doing as well to bring that credible, objective story. So I don't think that companies are so quick to throw that away. I think, if anything, CEOs are realizing how important reputation management is and having the understanding of their level that there is this push to bring public relations into MBA courses, which is on a much higher level than it's been.
And how do you see, if you have I estimate that you work a lot for larger companies. How do you see that PR works for independent professionals?
Well, I work with large companies and I've worked with entrepreneurs and smaller companies as well. I think public relations goes right to the heart of the personal brand in a sense. It does position you a certain way. You have to live up to who you say you are and deliver your promise and build your relationships. I think that, when I talk to students in PR Stud Chat, which is the Twitter community, we all talk about public relations and personal brands because it meshes together. So whether you're a single practitioner, working for yourself, working for a large company, or an agency, PR is all the way, across the board.
Right. And you had a larger organization, an agency, right?
Yeah. At one point I had an agency that was about, I guess we were up to 40 people.
Oh, wow.
Which is small, in terms of if you're looking at an Edelman, but, for me it was on the bigger side.
I say it's a bigger side. But and now you work more alone? Actually,
I went from the 40 down to more like the 15, which got to the 10, which went virtual. And then with all of the book writing and the speaking and I started, I guess, doing more strategic consulting. Now I have a very small strategic consulting company and very happy.
Right. No, I love it. I'm all about doing as much as I can strategic and work for myself, so don't have the worries about employees and stuff like that.
Yes.
Who is your ideal client, if you look at that?
Oh, the ideal client. Sometimes, I'm getting excited over a new startup that I'm working with. So sometimes the ideal client can have the blank canvas where you are launching a brand and helping to create everything from product naming to how's their PR and social media approach. You're looking at strategy. So the blank canvas is a lot of fun. However, I've worked with companies like the NBA and JVC where just having that brand credibility and some of the events and, the product launches, that's really exciting just because the names are so well known.
Yeah, and it's large then, right?
It's large and it's a lot of fun. And in either scenario, you're learning.
Right.
That is one thing that no matter what type of client you take on or who you think you want to attract, you always want to learn and grow from every experience.
Right. And how do you attract you mentioned attract, how do you attract your clients?
I think that social media is probably one of the best ways to attract clients. It's great for thought leadership. We all have a passion, and if you're doing something, if your career you're truly passionate about, it shows in your communication. I chose blogging as a way to express, how I think about public relations, social media, and communications in general. Just having that platform definitely attracts interesting people, not for me to sell, but to talk about what I believe in. Twitter's the same way, except Twitter, I tend to help people answer questions, provide solutions, give resources. That in turn comes back in the form of interviews with journalists and bloggers, speaking engagements, and often leads. People who will actually ask me if they can talk privately will go to a DM mode, then we'll go email, then we'll go face shake hands and get a contract out of it. So a lot of value to the social media connections we're making.
Right, and because you do also have you wrote 4 books, right?
Number 5 is coming out in April.
Right, number 5, and you do speaking. I guess you also go to networking events.
Yes.
What is it that you feel gives you the most clients?
Okay, so the goal is always, how it works for me lately is starting in the virtual, knowing that you're going to have to move it into private conversation. So that's going to be, if you're on Facebook, it's a private message. If you're on Twitter, it's a DM. Moving that into the physical realm, which could be meeting up with some folks at a networking event, shaking hands. You already feel like you know them.
Right.
Moving into the client setting.
Right.
So that's kind of been the pattern.
Right. And which of these tools, if you look at social media network sites and so on, which of the tools do you use the most? Which is your favorite?
Okay, so favorite is Twitter. Even though it looks like I'm there all the time, I'm really there 3 times a day. In the morning, sometime before 9 o'clock, lunchtime, and then again in the evening. A new favorite is Pinterest. I think that is a great new network that I'm playing around with, starting slow. I have a few boards up. I'm sharing infographics. I have my daughter's artwork up, original artwork, which is really beautiful. I love my blog. I still feel that I'm getting people who talk about my posts, and it's leading into some deeper conversations. And Facebook. I mean, who doesn't love Facebook? Google Plus, I'm still feeling out.
Right. No, I'm also a little bit active on Pinterest, and it's going pretty good. I like it. I don't try to use it right now for traffic to my own website. I'm just using it to share images. And my daughter is also, she's very active in painting, and I shoot some photos of that, so I want to publish them also. It's on the camera, and I have to just get it off and publish it. I will do that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I like it, what she does, and I want to, and she's only 12, so almost 13, but she's very active on that, so and I like what she does.
That's terrific.
How do you think of new products? Do you have products?
So I usually help other companies with their products. So we don't really, we haven't really launched anything big as a consulting firm. In terms of, we have put together a couple of helpful tools. So there's something called Peer Rater, which is very in its nascent phases, which my husband and we literally launched just to help professionals to figure out who influences them, if they're influencers. But in terms of products, it's always helping somebody else to take an idea and bring it to fruition.
Right, but and then you have services, so you don't.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And do you create new services maybe together with clients, or how do you do that?
Oh, that's a great question, because it's funny when, especially on the consulting side, you just never know what you're going to be doing or how you're going to be helping. So, we have core services where it's the strategic communications tied to the technology, doing the, communications plan from PR, marketing, and social media, very integrated. But I was even helping a company recently hire for a social media position, an online director's position, a PR position, which isn't something necessarily that you would find on our pure performance communications website, but it's what they needed.
Right.
And, with experience in this industry for a really long time, that's something, a way to help. So lately I'm finding that new services are definitely popping up.
What is the service that makes you the most money, which is really your money maker in your company?
That's interesting. When it comes to strategy, anything where you can provide your intellectual capital, I think, and be recognized for that. A lot of the strategic plans, businesses are willing to pay for your strategy. So I'm finding that is something that feeds the engine. I'm building up my speaking engagements. That is another way that the company, the engine, keeps running as well.
Right.
But what the best part is that these are the things that I love. So can you imagine being able to stand on stage and to be paid for that? That's fun. Sure, there's a lot of work that goes into it, but it is such a passion. And from the day, and I've probably never told anybody this, but in my old house when I was growing up, you would walk to the top of the stairs, and there was a big mirror. You'd walk down a hallway, and there was a big mirror, and it was like my big stage. You can only imagine me at 7, 8 years old, being in front of this stage. I was literally performing then. So it's just something that's carried into, later in life, something that I love. Yeah. So to be able to say that it makes money and you're having a great time doing it is wonderful.
I agree. That's really great. And how do you set, because you talked about strategy and you mentioned that it's really, companies pay good pricing for that, but how do you determine the price? Because I think that a lot of people that watch my blog and read these videos and talk to me have a lot of difficulty with setting the right price for something like strategy.
Here's the thing: I always start out when I get to know a client. There's always a budget that you have in your head, and you have to be reasonable. You learn what will be demanded from you when you're working with a big brand. You understand what it takes to satisfy, let's say, a mid-sized company. You know what it's going to take for a startup. It's a lot of work. So you learn to put parameters. I always give ranges. Always a range. I never lock into your strategy or your plan is going to cost X amount.
Right.
It's going to be a range, literally, that could be $5,000 to $10,000 range. It depends. You give a range, people automatically feel comfortable with it, or they balk at it.
Right.
If you get the person who all of a sudden you see their hair standing on top of their head and their eyes are bulging out, you then say, tell me what's your budget?
Yeah.
What do you have? Because I can accommodate. You just have to tell me what it is, and you can always scale back. That's the thing. People have to realize that in business, if you offer a price and somebody says they knock you down by $5,000, they knock you down even by $10,000, you just have to scale it back to accommodate what they have. Realize you're always going to give a little bit extra, but it has to be fair on both sides. So that's kind of how I've approached it, and I think I've done pretty well in that respect.
Cool. You have a blog. Do you know how many visitors you get per month?
Yeah, I think I get about 5,000.
Okay, cool.
4,000 to 5,000.
Right. And do you have a newsletter?
No, I actually don't have a newsletter. And a very good friend of mine, we send out HTML emails every so often. And I'll be the first to say that it's been less often than I would like, but it's really busy, with pure performance and being a very, very small team. But a good friend of mine just pointed out, he's like, you really need some type of a newsletter. So to be determined, definitely have my sights on something.
Cool. I agree with your friend.
Yeah. He's a smart guy too.
How do you keep a wealthy balance between entrepreneurship and family?
Well, we are lucky that I have the luxury now of being at home. It wasn't so easy when I owned an agency.
Right.
Being an agency owner means you have to be at the agency, and this was really pre-social media. In the days where we have Skype and there's all sorts of, View, WebEx, GoToMeetings, it became easier. Before, it wasn't, because I had to be in the office. If we were gearing up for a JVC trade show, launching, let's say, 10 new products, guaranteed 5 days before the actual trade show, before I had to leave for Las Vegas, I would be in the office until 10 o'clock at night, leave early morning, there until 10. So now it's a much easier balance. You're working at home. And I've always said, if things are not going right with the family, then that is a reason to reevaluate what's going on with the work so that you can always keep that balance. So knock on wood, over here, it's been okay. And now, the kids are older, they're teenagers, and they've got their own things. 2 of them are driving, one more is about to drive, so it all seems to be working out.
Yeah, and I think this mine is a little bit younger, but I think that they are teenagers too, but they're in the beginning, and they are at a different stage, so they manage everything themselves. So it's
Yes.
a lot of hassle, but it's still very convenient. I also work from home, to be there and to wave them goodbye when they go to school, and to be there with lunch or with the breakfast in the evening. I mean, I love that.
That's great. I did, this morning I made the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I get my daughter's tea ready before she shoots out the door at 20 to 8. So
I agree.
Same thing.
Yes. What's your goal in business or in life?
Oh, love that question. Well, my goal has already been, it's always to teach, constant educator. So I feel that's something that I've already achieved, but need to continue more and more. It's always been the strategic consulting. So I set my eye on that, I'm going to say 15 years ago, and I'm now doing that. But to really step it up a notch for myself, I dream of working with certain companies. There's always goals in that respect that you want to reach. I also want to continue with the book writing. Absolutely love to write. So, number 5 is just passed. Would love to see 6 and 7 and 8 and 9. And really, biggest goal is to give back and to have meaning. Whether it's meaning in, our little PR stud chat community, or meaning to my association colleagues at PRSA, or meaning to other colleagues in respect, and also to make sure that I grow with my family and to have meaning in life for them, and to teach them a lot as well.
Right.
So constant education.
How can people find you if they want to start following you?
Oh, find me on Twitter. I'm at Deirdre Breakenridge. That's my handle. Also, go to my blog. Check it out. Talk to me through my blog. It's DeirdreBreakenridge.com. I'm on Google+. You can find me there. You can search for me. You can check out my Pinterest, my new boards that are up. So, or email me directly. I'm Deirdre at pureperformancecom with 2 M's.com.
And when is your new book? When can we get it?
Oh, April 11th, I believe that's the date that they're saying that it's available. You can get it through Amazon, mostly online, although it will have some softcover copies, which will be available too. And, I'm just really excited to see the reaction of my peers to the book.
Yeah, no, I feel the same.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deirdre, for this interview and giving your insights about how you do things. And it was great fun talking to you.
Oh, thank you. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed our chat.